Who wants to go first with their question?
I would love to ask a question to Shane about this.
Go ahead.
Hey, Shane, what year did Detroit win the Super Bowl?
Well, I was thinking back when there was the didn't Dick LeBeau? It was I don't know which year, but I thought it
Okay.
was.
Okay, I think that was probably the greatest follow-up question in the history of this game.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of the Superposition Game Show, the only game show on the internet where we bring amazing people from all walks of life together to play some insane games with me and have fun on a nice Friday. So thank you guys for joining the show.
It's
Thanks
awesome
for
to be
having
here.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so
excited.
for everybody's context, my name is David Cohen. I am the host of the show and the founder of Superposition. Superposition is a consulting company where we help other consulting companies, specifically in the data and AI spaces, get better at their jobs by building workshops like the one you're about to see today, both for the purposes of serving client projects as well as for internal improvement and generally doing our work better in the consulting space. So if you have any questions as we're going along and you're watching the show, please feel free to leave a comment about what we do. And for our contestants, if you guys, as you guys go through the experience, also happy to answer any questions as we're going along. So question or item number one for the show, and what we like to do here is to introduce the contestants. So we'll go around the room, would ask that you each introduce yourselves. And tradition on the show also is that we talk about your secret talent. So as I requested before the show started, obviously talk a little bit about what you do and tell us about what your secret talent is. Ideally, would love to see what your secret talent is as well on camera, potentially to get points. As I mentioned in the pre-show, everything that happens from here on out will get points, and I can also take away points as well. So as we're going along, the point of the show is to win the contest. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So Ashok, you're first. So you're on the top left of my window. So let's start with your introduction and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. My name's Ashok Shivanand. I used to run a company called Integral before we sold it. And more lately, I've been focused on kind of AI and product things where it intersects with investment. And I've also enjoyed using that time off to get better at cooking and also do stand-up comedy.
So I think you have told me about many of the things you said before when we first met. You had not mentioned the stand-up comedy, I don't think. So what's the deal there? Where do you do that? How did that come about?
Shing and Bailey probably know this. I have like a birthday list, which is the equivalent of a bucket list, but it has sort of a little bit of a deadline of my next birthday. And I try to get about 60-70% of the things done. And that was on there. And I think I had a lot of public speaking sort of anxieties as a kid. And I had some competitions actually that I was forced into as a kid that just bombed. And so I think doing stand-up comedy was sort of the opposite of that, to conquer that for like the 11-year-old who bombed on stage, to try and redeem him. And there's a place not too far away from where I live called Mart Ridley's Comedy Castle. And they have like a boot camp here in Royal Oak, Michigan. And so I started out with the boot camp. It was like 4 weeks, like do 1 hour. And it's pretty amazing how they'll be able to take just stories from your life and help make it into a funny stand-up set. And then since then, I've kind of started doing some contests and open mics and things like that, just to kind of keep sharp and continue kind of pushing myself out of the comfort zone.
That's amazing. So I'm expecting some good quality comedy in the show then.
Improv and stand-up are different in
That's
the
true.
rehearsal, but we'll see what I can come up with.
No, that's fair enough. So what's your secret talent?
So I think it's, having grown up as a fairly awkward kid who didn't understand small talk, I've over time developed that helping folks feel comfortable with talking about things that maybe are not so okay or make people feel uncomfortable otherwise because they're a little bit more vulnerable, but doing it in a way that feels comfortable and safe and fun versus weird or, crossing boundaries. That's the superpower.
I mean, it's a very useful superpower, I think, especially in most situations. That is like knowing how and when to break the ice is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Bailey, your turn.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Bailey O'Shea. I work as a director of product for a B2B software supply chain planning platform called Trans Impact. So I've been there just over a year and joined that job after Integral was acquired.
Awesome. And what's your secret talent, Billy?
My secret talent is a silly one, but it's I have double jointed shoulders that can do strange looking things.
So explain that a little bit, right, for the folks that don't know what double jointed shoulders are.
Yeah, it's just, some people expect their shoulders to not move a certain way, such as forward and bringing all your arms forward, and I can show you, or over your head while your arms are connected, but I can do it with no pain.
So I have two questions for this. One
Yeah,
is, can you show us, which you knew that was coming, I'm sure.
I can, of course.
But before we get there, what I'm also curious about is, how did you even find out that you had this ability? Like, is this something that happened by mistake? Like, you just like randomly found out? Is it genetic? I don't know how this works, so I'm curious.
Yeah, I was in Girl Scouts, and sometimes we did things called like lock-ins, where all the Girl Scouts go to a gym, and you're there, and you have a big sleepover, and play all the games together. And a friend of mine, or maybe it was my troop leader, noticed that I was standing very strangely, like in relaxed position, but it isn't a relaxed position for most people. So when I was younger, she's like, "Wait, how's your arm just like that?" And that's how we started experimenting, because it's a sleepover and you're hopped up on sugar and you're up all night, and everybody started moving their arms around, and we figured out that it's probably not the most common thing.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I figure would happen. I don't know if you just like somehow knew magically that you had double jointed shoulders somehow.
Did not. Nope.
All right, so then I'm gonna ask the obvious question: is can you show us?
Yeah, I'll show you. Okay, so there are two tricks with it. So the first trick is I'm going to hold my hands together behind my back like this. Hold on, let me. Oh, my headset's on. It might mess it up. So I have these hooked together, and then I can go over my.
No.
So I can go over my head without letting my arms go. So if everybody wants to try it, connect your hands together, hold your fingers together, and then the arm that's up above your head, put your head through it without letting your hands go.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sure I
quite the
can't.
assumption that we can actually connect.
Yeah,
I could
I'm
barely
trying.
grab my hands. Yeah, but
I
Yeah.
used to be able to, not anymore.
So if you're watching, try and do it yourself and fail like I'm failing.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then the second one is, I'll stand up so you can see, but I'll put this is how I was standing. So I have my wrist forward, and then I can push my elbows together, like in the
Whoa.
front of my
Oh my
body.
goodness.
And this is
Yeah,
on the
I'm
internet,
not
so
even
this
gonna
is
try
great.
that because we don't want any injuries on the show, so I'm not gonna attempt doing that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But no, I appreciate you with the visual demonstration. That was wonderful. All right, Xing, you're last but not least.
Okay. Hey, I'm Shing Joe. Right now, I'm the software engineering manager at For Credit. On the 7th December, I think it would be 5 years. So it's been a while. But
Oh,
prior to that,
congrats.
thanks. I got a little nice congratulation poster thing in the mail. It was kind of surprising. But prior to that, I was at Integral, and this is how I know Bailey and the joke.
Very cool. And I was really excited to have you guys on the show because you all know each other. You worked together before, so I think this will be a really fun show. But Xing, before we move on to the games, what was your secret talent?
I couldn't decide very well. I had like two I was thinking about last night. And then
Okay.
this morning, I went into work and I saw someone I saw someone's screen and they were on a call. And one of the person that I knew had like a different hair color. I was like, oh, did she change? Did she dye her hair? And someone said, we were just talking about how observant you are. It's like, okay. I mean, that's one of the things I don't think about, right? But
You are so
evidently,
observant.
I
I
do
remember
notice
this
things.
about you.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's always the type of people that remember the little details, and you're like, how did you remember that again? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to think of it as like a talent or even because, like I see it, everybody else would see it. Everyone else would see it, but evidently that's not the case.
Maybe you'd make like a good bartender or just like restaurant owner or something. You'd remember all your customers.
Yeah, yeah, perhaps.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves and for the wonderful secret talent demonstrations. Are you guys ready to start the show and play the games?
Let's do
let's
it.
go. I'm taking
Yeah,
y'all
let's do
down.
it.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here real quick to start the games for the audience. So, okay, the way the game works is we're going to play these games one by one. I will introduce them. And as we're going along, obviously, each of you will get to put in your answers for each of the games. I will ask you a few questions after. And then what happens is after each game, I will give you a score. The scores mean nothing. They're totally made up, and I decide what the scores are. So, like, we're just kind of making it up as we go. And like I said, let's just have fun with it. So the first game is called Draw Your Career. So what I want you to do in a second is I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. And I want you to, in the white box that you see in next to your name, to draw the story of how you got to where you are today. So that can be anything related to your personal life, to where you ended up working where you are, the kind of the steps that you took, or anything in between. It's just essentially telling the story of who you are and what you do in the form of only pictures. Does that make sense? The twist I didn't tell you about is that you can't do it normally. You have to do it only with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, I want you to do it with your left hand. And if you're left-handed, with your right hand. That makes sense?
How does this work with a mouse? What?
So do it. So grab your mouse that you normally grab with your right hand, put it in your left hand
Right.
instead.
I got that part.
This is like
So the point is
very
we're trying to
right-handed
make it
mouse, too.
we're trying to be a playing field, because some people are better at drawing than others, meaning all of you are better at drawing than me. So we're evening the playing field. So I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. When I say go, I want you to start drawing. And when the timer runs out, I'm going to ask you to explain what the drawing is, and then we'll give you points for that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Perfect. So in 3, 2, 1, go. You can start drawing on the board. And feel free to draw whatever. You can use colors if you want. There's really no limitation to what you can put on the square.
It's not looking the way that I want it to look. That's okay.
That's the point of the game. It's to keep you on your toes, man.
I also have really good balance.
Whoops. It's interesting that, so, okay, clearly all of you worked in the auto industry because you're both drawing cars, or what I assume are cars. Okay, you have slightly over a minute left, so go ahead and finish up any final details you have in the last minute. Bailey, are you done?
Not yet.
And Ashok, are you done?
No, not yet.
Oh, God.
Another thing is you don't also only have to draw on your box. You can draw on the other contestant's box if you want to. So if you want to sabotage another person, you're allowed to. There are no
What?
rules on this game show. See, I would play Jeopardy music, but it's copyrighted, so they don't like me doing that.
Can we hum it?
No, please don't, because I'm going to get copyright struck on YouTube. All right, you have about 15 seconds left, so go ahead and put the final finishing touches on it. Okay, that's time.
Okay.
Close down.
Wow.
You guys did a wonderful job. I don't know what you were worried about. Cool. So what we're going to do now, as I mentioned, is we're going to go one by one. I'm going to ask you to explain what you drew. And then I'm going to give you points both for the quality of the drawing, but also for the quality of the story that you're telling as far as the drawing goes. So obviously, think about how you're kind of bringing all the elements of your drawing together as you're explaining what your career has been, and I will give you a score after the fact. All right. So we'll start with Ashok. So tell us about your drawing here.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing on the top left there is my attempt at a circuit diagram to pay homage to like the electrical engineering school I went to. That's a resistor and then a capacitor and then my attempt at an inductor. And I think it was there that I kind of started to think about like flow and how electrons kind of move through resistors and capacitors and inductors and how to kind of model them in math. I wasn't one of the best students, so I didn't get the most sought after sort of internships or co-ops. And then one of the early years, I worked night shift as a forklift driver on the east side of town of where the university was. And as an international student, I learned a lot about outside of schoolwork from compared to the sheltered life, kind of on the east side of town in a manufacturing town, driving a forklift. I think got to kind of compare a lot of the things I was learning at school to how things were kind of moving on this factory floor. And so I started to form sort of my own metaphors of comparing electrons moving to like how widgets were moving. And then I got a real job at an assembly line at General Motors. I was writing software there, which is why that SUV with GM on it does not have wheels. It hasn't been fully assembled yet. I got to work on a really cool algorithm helping decide like what sequence the cars would go into or the bodies for the cars would go into the paint shop because it's really expensive to change the paint. So we try to kind of go from white to black with all the colors in between, and then got to do a full flush to go back to white. That was my first attempt at like using calculus in real life. Then I got a job at a company called ShopLogix, where we were doing kind of IoT work and helping factories figure out where they lost most of their production. So that's my attempt at a Pareto chart. And then next to that is a 2x2. I learned a lot of the facilitation skills that I think kind of drew us both together in the first place, David, at a company called Pivotal Labs. So those are sticky notes with that have been organized on a 2x2. And then Integral kind of ran out of time, and the cheat code was just to go with the logo of the company.
Perfect. I mean, I feel like you've seen and done it all, man. Like this is like one of the more like varied sort of career trajectories I've seen on the show so far.
I tried to draw Mike for the stand-up comedy at the end, but I don't think you'd have to get a different rating for what my mic looked like for this video. Like, I'm not very good at drawing mics.
So, well, how was that transition from going from like forklift driving to like just, I guess, software engineering or just like being on the other side of working that way? Was it a hard transition? Did you sort of struggle in that way, or was it just pretty seamless for you?
I think on a more personal standpoint, I worked alongside a lot of folks that didn't have the same privilege that I did. They were like a lot of temps, factory workers, and and there were also a bunch of students, and we were all like, it was clear that we saw the world differently. Like there was this one lady who got a check that she had to go to a check cashing place and she had to pay a percentage of her paycheck. And I couldn't register in my brain why she couldn't open a bank account. And so I think I developed like a different perspective or started to relate a lot more to folks who didn't necessarily take that, what I thought was the conventional path of going to college, just through making friends with folks who had different paths. And I'll just say it, I was a little bit of a jerk initially, and that experience kind of helped me see that there's a lot more to the world than just people that I went to college with. And then the software part, I don't know. I think I truly enjoyed driving a forklift more than I did writing code.
Well, regardless, I think we have to reward the growth journey in that. So I'm gonna give you 250 points overall for the answer. I think that's
Wow.
the growth
I don't know
journey
if
there
that's
is
good or
quite
not,
good.
but it sounds.
I mean, I guess we'll find out. It might be a lot, might be not enough. Who knows? We'll see how the other answers are. But thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Bailey, you're up next.
Okay. On the left there, you'll see a car goes big. I'm in Detroit, and as many of us who are, the big industry here is automotive. So I got my start in marketing, actually. I was doing event marketing for General Motors, specifically Chevrolet, but more specifically on military bases or military adjacent events. So that was really fun. I got to travel all over the country in some big cities, but also some of the places that you wouldn't even know exist on, adjacent areas of military bases. And A fun story from that era in marketing was I hung out with John Cena and a bunch of WWE wrestlers all day, and I got to drive one of our Camaros kind of down below the stage, and one of them got in and they took it up on the stage, which was really cool. But in marketing, I had this opportunity where this was like in the early 2010s, where it was like Uber was just getting uplifted and we were launching EV vehicles in California. And there was this opportunity to take all of this test driving experience that I was doing around the country and bring that into a software where you could request a test drive to your house from the dealership, and the dealer would drive the vehicle to you. So you didn't have to fight California traffic or figure out what to do with the kids. That would just come to your house and you could put your car seat in and you could just see what it felt like to do at home. And I loved that so much because we had to prototype and get it out really quickly and then continue to make it better with user feedback. And so from there, I was like, what is this career called? And then I learned what product management was. So then I started obsessing over product management and said yes to every opportunity I could in order to do that. And there's my little laptop there to signify that transition, I guess. And there's my sad 2x2 that looks way less nice to Ashok's, where I was prioritizing all the little opportunities. And then after being at General Motors, I joined Ashok and Shing at Integral. And the two people there are the kind of the engineer that I worked closely with and the designer. So that was my first kind of working as a software team experience and a squad, which was really fun, bringing software to life for all of our customers at the time. And then this last terrible drawing is kind of demand forecast, if you will. So in supply chain planning, one of the things that helps all of the teams anticipate how much to order is what is the demand going to be and how sophisticated and accurate can you get that? And that is my world now at TransImpact. So
Amazing. I feel like these games are so hard to score because I'm just like, I want to give you all so many points. So I think, Bailey, we'll do 200 points there. Just keep it tight. It's close. I think that's
I like a competition. I like being the underdog.
That's okay. There's plenty of opportunities to come back, but for sure.
I kind of like there's like a slow tier that came down seeing the 2x2 there. So I'm happy to like give Bailey 10 of my points if that's okay.
Okay, we'll do that. I'm okay with it. So we'll take away 10 points.
Going back to our facilitation training from like 2018.
Not give him 200 points. Take away 10 points. And
then are these the pity points? Is that what the...
No,
what's the tier for?
This is like seeing something, that facilitation training from 2018 from that
he might regret that later, again. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take a blue ribbon even if it's gifted. That's fine.
Well, there you go. Yeah, thank you so much, Bailey. That was an awesome answer. All right, Shing, so your turn.
Yeah. I just realized I drew a lot of stuff that may not be related to my career, but it's definitely has influence on me. So starting off with kind of not the very top left, but the one on the bottom there. I'm going to use that dog looking, it's supposed to be a dog. That picture, I'm going to double up because I went to Carnegie Mellon, and that was kind of a formative years. And I guess the mascot, but the Scottish Terrier, like very common, shown in brochures and whatnot. So that's where I went to school. And then afterwards, so I went there for computer science, got a degree after it kicked my butt for way too long. And then I went to Amazon as a software engineer. I didn't have the best experience there. So upper left is the Amazon smile, but upside down. Oh, I realized I might have doubled up the arrow. So I should have deleted one side of the arrow, but it's the smile, but upside down. I learned a lot there, but I also learned about things I didn't like there as well. So after that, we'll transition over to Pivotal Labs here in Michigan. For that, I drew the one in the middle. It's supposed to be a cash register. Like that may be really weird. I don't know why this stood out, but I just remember trying to learn something about software design, like 12 o'clock or 12:30 in the morning, like sitting on the ground at home, trying to noodle this, and it was on a toy example of a cash registry. And I was trying to model it out in software development, and like that just stood out. So I was like, you know what? A cash registry is kind of like sums up a lot of the growth that happened at Pivotal Labs. And then below are two little people. So I do have kids, and that happened around the pivotal years and the integral years. So they had a tremendous impact on my life and kind of changed my relationship with work. Yeah. And then finally over on the right is the integral side. Did a last minute because I was like, oh, time's up. But yeah, integral, it's been, awesome. And that's how I know these two folks.
I love it. Amazing. Okay. Well, so you guys will find out and come to know that there are two weaknesses for me on the show, which is stories about pets and stories about how much you love your children. So I think, Xing, you're going to get extra points here for this activity. You get 400 points for bringing up how
Awesome.
much your children have affected your life in a great way. So thank you for sharing that. So how did you guys like the first activity?
Good.
I didn't give
fun.
my left-handed drawing enough credit, maybe.
No, you did
So
really
I'm glad that you
well.
put me out there.
I think you all did really good. I mean, for like not knowing that you were gonna have to draw with your left hand, to be honest, I think it went extremely well. Okay, so let's do the second game then, if you guys are ready.
Ready.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So the second game is called Tell Me a Lie. So this game is essentially a play on the two truths and a lie sort of game, where you'll notice there's 3 red stickies on your box. The point of this game is that I want you to write 3 facts about yourself. It can be about your life, about your work, literally anything about you that could all conceivably be correct. So you're going to want to pick 3 things that could be true about you. One of those things has to be a lie, right? So 2 of them have to be true, 1 is a lie. What we're going to do is after you put down your 3 facts, every other contestant will get to ask you 1 follow-up question, and then we'll try to guess which of the 3 is incorrect. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
The gimmick of this game is that, unlike the previous one, I will be playing with you guys too. So you're not only trying to get your contestants to guess incorrectly, like to guess which one is the lie, but also me. And if the rest of you guess incorrectly and I guess correctly, then you'll lose points. So you're trying to fool not only the other 2, but also myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do here, same thing we did last time. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes this time. I just want you to double click any of your 3 stickies and type in the 3 facts about yourself you want the others to guess. So whenever you're ready, go ahead. And they can be as outlandish as you want. Okay, you have about a minute left. Okay, so go ahead and start putting your final touches on your items here. We'll get started in 1 second. Okay, time is up. So we'll let Shane finish and then we'll get started with these. Right. Let me know when you're good, singer.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I am
Perfect.
good. Sorry.
Awesome. So awesome job, everybody. So the next step is you'll notice each of you has 3 items now. And at the top of the board, I put little icons with your faces on them. So what we're going to do is each person will go one by one. We'll get to explain the story of your stickies. So what I want you to do is to tell the story of like the context around each story. And after that, each person will get to ask one follow-up question, as I mentioned. So Ashok, we'll start with you. So tell us about your 3 items, and then we'll ask the questions to follow up.
Cool. My first one, my stepson, he has been getting into chess over the last year, and he plays either against his mom or myself, and he's gotten so much better that sometimes he'll beat me, and then it wouldn't be enough of a challenge for him, and then he'll say, "Hey, let's play a game, but I won't use any of my pawns." And he literally just takes all the pawns off, and he's like, "Okay, but I get to use all my pawns and all the players." So that's the first one.
Okay, go ahead. Continue. Do all 3 of them.
Okay. And then the second one, I didn't mention this part in the career, but in between there was a fair amount of burnout I had. And one thing that I certainly found pretty energizing was surfing. And I thought of doing like a career pivot, and I wanted to become a surf instructor. So I found this course in Morocco, and I went there and spent like 6 weeks to fine tune my surfing as well as get a certification. And then took that to India, which I realized another thing I was missing when I was in Canada was being closer to my roots in India. And I got to spend some more time with my grandparents and work at a surf resort there. And the next thing you know, like 5 years had passed.
Okay, and then your last one.
And then the last one, I went to college in Canada, and I just moved from overseas in the Middle East there as an international student. And the one thing that I did find in common was that I could bring a lot of it was called pop dancing back in the Middle East. And I was a huge Michael Jackson fan, and we had done some dance there. And then the closest thing that I could kind of get integrated into was joining like a hip hop dance troupe. And I got to combine like a bunch of both Bollywood as well as pop dancing skills into like new music and new kind of rhythm that I hadn't gotten to experience before, but kind of took pretty quickly too.
Perfect. Okay, so Bailey, you get to go first. One follow-up question for Ashok.
What was the largest wave that you've ridden when you were surfing?
They were like in terms of height or length?
Both.
Probably like 6-7 foot wave. And it was about 12 to 13 feet in terms of how long I was able to ride it.
Okay. Shane, your follow-up question?
So you said that you're a backup dancer. What was the group was it a specific group that you're a backup dancer for?
Yeah, it was called Urban Dance Company, was like the troupe. And then like C-list Canadian celebrities during like their like record launch party would need people like standing behind them on stage. And we'd get paid like $40 and free drinks for the night.
Okay. Amazing. So having all the information now, take the icon with your face on it and then move it to the sticky that you think is the lie. As a reminder, if you don't guess, or if I guess something different than you and I get it right and you don't, you will lose points. And then Ashok will obviously get points for people guessing incorrectly. So go ahead and move the icon with your face on it to the one you think is a lie. Okay, Ashok, which one is incorrect?
The surfing one, Bailey's got her points. I totally stole that story from my brother, and I'm living vicariously even on a podcast, like through like something I wish I got to do instead.
Okay, so tell us, that means I have to ask you about these other two. Tell us about the your stepson first. So I figured that one was true, because I know children are extremely good at chess for some reason, and they're like, they pick it up super quickly. But I wanted to pick something different from the rest of the folks. Tell us the story there. Is there
Yeah,
anything?
I mean, I should also caveat that his mother and I just got engaged like 2 weeks ago, like since
Uh-huh.
you and I recorded actually. And so he's technically, I don't know if stepson is like the legal term just as yet, but as far as we're concerned, he is. And we related a lot. He plays soccer and a bunch of like outdoor, like golf and a bunch of things that I tend to do a lot better. And so we got to bond over a bunch of that stuff. And then this year he really got into chess, and we wanted to encourage it. And he goes to chess club and stuff. He's got no siblings, and so like his mom and him are like the folks that he gets to play with when he's at home. And we are like no competition for where he has gotten. And so he just finds these different ways now to make it like it's almost like a golf handicap that he gives himself. And just to try and convince us that we have a chance of winning. So we'll play again with him. And I think it's also probably he watches a lot of chess on YouTube.
Hmm.
So I'm guessing this no pawns thing is something that he probably picked up from one of the folks that he follows there. And yeah, he beat me like within, I don't know, 20 moves or something. And it just felt too easy to him. And he was like, okay, let me play again, but this time I'll do no pawns. And it was just such a like for 11-year-old, it was a very memorable thing because it was just so I don't usually see like that level of confidence from him. And he didn't even and I thought it was like bravado, him being audacious, but he was just trying to like have fun, which made it even more special or seem even more confident and not bravado at all. So it was just like a little moment where I got to see him where he turned out to be a little bit older than I thought he was, I think. And so it was these little moments that, you get to see him grow up, and that one stuck out to me because it went so deep.
Amazing.
Mm.
Well, like I said earlier, sucker for awesome stories about the the other cool people in your lives. So I think Ashok, what we'll do is I'll even you out to give you what 250, so I'll put you at 500 points in total for
Okay.
getting two of us to guess it incorrectly. And as promised, Bailey, that means you also get points because you guessed which one was wrong. So we'll
Woohoo.
do 350 for you. Unfortunately, Shing, that means that you lose
No.
some points because you got yours wrong. So sorry about that. All right. Now, Bailey, your turn. Walk us through all three of them as Ashok did. Please just explain all of them, and then we'll have folks ask you some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the years have just passed on by, and I realized that I had never seen a Star Wars movie all this time, and there's a lot of cultural references to Star Wars, and so took the leap and did that this year for the first time. Um, the second one is I picked up skiing as a sport 19, so as an adult, and have had the pleasure to go on ski trips at least once a year, a big trip, and have really invested some time into getting better, and I really love it. And I'm kind of trying to progress to the difficult side of things too. And then the third one is on a vacation recently. I went on a hot air balloon ride that unfortunately took on some rough winds, and we ran out of fuel and we had a crash landing.
Hmm. Okay. Each of you gets a follow-up question now. So, Ashok, you'll go first.
You work you work around a lot of software engineers that have typically watched Star Wars kind of earlier than you have. I imagine that would have been like, the level of surprise would have come across like in an annoying way. I'm curious, like what kind of ways people have presented that like surprise that you've never watched Star Wars.
Yeah, I think people first say you had to have seen it in some way, right? Like they're questioning if I don't remember watching it as a kid, but I grew up, I don't know, in a household of girls, and my dad unfortunately didn't have a lot of influence on what we were watching, and my mom didn't care about Star Wars, so we just never watched it.
Okay. Shing?
Hmm. What was the reason for starting to watch or for watching Star Wars? Is somebody
I think I just hear about it a lot, and at the DIA they had an exhibit with costumes, and I was like, "This is cool. I should see what these costumes look like in motion movie."
I am kind of shocked that neither of you asked about the hot air balloon crash. And I have a question about that in a second. But all right, you guys get to guess
Is this
before
the
that.
first person in history that's watched Star Wars because of the fashion?
Maybe. Might be. So, okay, you guys each get to vote here. So as with last time, move it to the one you think is a lie.
I feel like I'm wrong again.
It's hard to decide. Okay, Bailey, which one is incorrect?
The lie is the fact that I enjoy skiing black diamond runs.
Figured.
Mm.
Tell us why.
I know you go on ski trips. I never wondered if you enjoyed them.
I really love skiing, and I like skiing greens and blues and challenging myself with difficult blues. But recently, I accidentally went down a black diamond run, so I was not geared up for it, nor am I skilled enough to do it over and over again without really increasing the chance of, breaking a leg. And I don't really feel like doing that as an adult, so I tend to avoid them. They scare me.
So
Where was that?
yeah, go ahead.
Whistler.
Nice.
How did
So
you
follow-up question.
accidentally?
Hills everywhere are called black diamonds, but Whistler is a real one.
Yeah. Well, so Whistler had like really dark navy blue as well. And it was a really low visibility day. And I thought I was going down a dark navy. It wasn't.
At what point do you realize you were not?
Right away, but too late to do anything about it.
So one follow-up question before we move on. What's the story with the crash landing? Like, how did you survive? Like, how bad was it?
Yeah. It wasn't, the crash was a well-controlled crash, but I was in Mexico City and we did like a 4 a.m. sunrise hot air balloon ride. Many people are doing that. It was so beautiful and I recommend it. I would do it again, even with the landing. But we were the last balloon up and the winds shifted. So we were watching, the other 50 balloons kind of all traverse to the same area. And we kept going up and down and up and down and around and around. And we're like, oh, maybe we just bought a different package than everybody else. And 40 minutes turned into an hour and a half and really loud noise on walkie-talkies. And then a group of 6 men carrying ropes running through backyards of a small village. And our people throwing ropes down to them catching them, and then basically dragging us to the ground. But people were in their backyards with their kids, like waving and pointing and taking pictures, the locals. And we landed in, unfortunately for the hot air balloon company, like kind of a cactus backyard. So then it was a full effort in order to make sure that the balloon itself didn't pop once it like laid down. But we were pulled down to the ground, almost hitting a power box on the way.
That's crazy. So I'm actually going to Mexico City in 3 days. And
amazing.
we were considering doing a hot air balloon ride. Like we actually talked about this. So I don't think we will anymore. But
you should do it. You should do it. It was so beautiful. But I understand. I would do it again.
That's a fun conversation. Well, on the one side. But on the other hand, she said she would do it again. So
yeah, that's crazy though. So
it's a story, right?
So Bailey, you got the other 2 guys to get the answers wrong. So you're gonna get a lot of points here. So we'll do 200 points for you. And then the other 2, you do have to lose points again. You got it wrong. So Bailey's in the lead. Good job. All right. So last one, just to make sure that we move on to cover everybody's time. Shing, walk us through your 3 really quick.
Yeah. First one seems to be pretty self-explanatory. So every city I've lived in has won the Super Bowl. I do the majority of the cooking at home. And then I started rock climbing to overcome my fear of heights.
Okay. You guys know the deal. Who wants to go first with their question?
I would love to ask a question to Shing about this.
Go ahead.
Hey, Shing, what year did Detroit win the Super Bowl?
Well, I was thinking back when there was the didn't Dick LeBeau? It was, I don't know which year, but I thought it was.
Okay, I think that was probably the greatest follow-up question in the history of this game.
Yeah.
I
was literally going to ask
a follow-up question.
I mean, my follow-up question was, Shing, do you include the city of Detroit amongst these cities or not? So I think Bailey and I signaled on the same thing.
Okay, I think
that's fair.
We don't need any more follow-up questions from there. So you let me pull your stickies down, but I think we know which one you're gonna guess. One sec.
If only.
That was great, by the way. Go ahead, Bailey. Okay, Xing, which one is incorrect?
Yeah, I mean, if we're not counting all the championships Detroit won before that one, the other two cities I've lived in have actually won the Super Bowl. So I was really rooting for Detroit last year. It was actually, if they won last year, I think I could actually say that every city that I lived in won the Super Bowl when I lived there. Because that happened in Seattle and that happened in Pittsburgh. And
That's so
hey,
cool.
if Detroit does win in the next however long, I'm probably going to be staying here for a while. So if Detroit wins, I
What I
can
heard is that
say,
you can't leave Detroit until they win.
Yeah.
So this is what we'll do. Unfortunately, because everybody got it right or correct, Xing, I have to take away a lot of points from you. However, if the Lions win the Super Bowl this year, you will retroactively be the winner of this show. How about that?
let's do it.
I'll take that L happily.
I'd happily give that as well.
So, sorry, 1 second. So Xing, unfortunately, is going to go back to 0 because all of you got it correct. And then Bailey and Ashok are going to get some points, and we will move on to the final game. Now, despite the fact that you guys have these scores now, the final game is really where you get the most points. So all of you are still in the game. Are you ready to play the final game?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the final game is called Let Memes Show the Way. So one of the things that we like to do on the show is kind of talk about the lessons that folks have learned over their careers, but to do so in kind of an interesting and fun way. So what I've done is I've picked a meme for each of you guys, a meme that's relatively popular. You may know it. And if you don't know it, I want you to improvise and kind of figure out what it means from just looking at it. And I'm going to reveal the meme that under the thing that's like uncovered here. So I'm going to flip a card. It's going to have the name of the meme and then below it, the picture itself. Then you'll notice there's a blank sticky on the right side. What I want you to do is to write a lesson that you've learned in your career that you would like to communicate to the audience using and relating to the meme on the left. Does that make sense? Yes?
Can you say
Okay.
that part again? Sorry, the
Yeah.
lesson.
So I'm gonna go one by one. I'm gonna reveal a meme, and then in the right side, in the yellow sticky that's blank, you're gonna have to write a story or lesson that you've learned in your career that you would like to communicate to the audience, but relating to the meme that I've given you. Okay. So we'll go one by one. I will reveal the meme, and then I'll set a timer for all of you to write your lessons. So starting at the top, Ashok, your meme is the distracted boyfriend meme. This one. Okay.
Okay.
Bailey, yours is Kermit drinking tea. This one.
Love Kermit. That's great.
And Shing, yours is the roll safe meme. This one, the guy pointing at his head. Okay. So you each get 2 minutes here to think about how to relate the meme to a story that you've learned about yourself or in your career that you want to share with others. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So set a timer. Go ahead and get started. I feel like Bailey knew right what to go for. This is super easy for her.
Wait,
I know I picked a hard one.
are we
What's that?
writing the actual stories or?
No. So write a lesson that you've learned in your career that relates to the meme. So like
Okay.
try to relate the meme to the story you've learned. Okay, you have about 40 seconds left. Okay, seems all of you are almost done. So Shane and Bailey, I think you guys are done. So we'll wait for Chuck and then we'll get started.
Yep. Well, I can get in there.
Perfect. I think we're all good to go. I'll stop the timer. Let me know when you're done.
Good.
All right. So similar to what we've done before, would like you each to explain what you wrote and obviously to relate it to the meme best you can. So Chuck, we'll start with you. Walk us through what you wrote.
Yeah, I kind of struggled with figuring out which was which here, but we'll call the girlfriend the one in the teal shirt. And I think,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And the meme, the girlfriend in the teal shirt is the girlfriend, and the red one is the girl that he's distracted by.
yeah. So in this case, you know, I think I was pretty lucky to grow up in an environment where a lot of my parents as well as my grandparents were fairly purpose driven in their work. There's a lot of community involvement that they had, volunteering. A lot of the time, in our case, we grew up Hindu, and there was a fair amount of sort of mindfulness and self awareness that led to kind of how I was raised. And then I moved away to university by myself, and then that was maybe the distraction where I started to kind of, as I built a business, I really got into things like how many employees worked here, what's the revenue size, how profitable can we become. Instead of following kind of a more mindful, self-aware path, it was kind of following the trends of like what got the most amount of vanity or ego. And I think that a realization around that was in part what kind of led to deciding to sell the business and kind of go back to what made more sense to me, even if it wasn't kind of what made sense to that in between version of me that was chasing after kind of like really big vanity or being driven by ego. And the irony, I think, somewhat was to, as I learned more about myself, kind of remember a lot of the things that my grandparents said where it finally clicked in for me. And this kind of have a lot more alignment to find out that those lessons were there all along since I was a little kid.
Amazing.
I wish I brought up like kids or pets in that. That was my bad.
That's okay. You know, that was still a great answer anyways. Okay, Bailey, your turn.
Yeah, so I have a pet and its name is Kermit, and that's my pet drinking tea.
This feels
So no.
this feels a little gratuitous.
Um no, so Kermit looks so serene in this meme and it looks like it's the morning, right? And so a lesson I've learned is especially when like I've gotten really busy to the point of burnout where I wasn't getting my workout in, I wasn't waking up early enough to have me time or taking time to decompress and I was finding reasons I always had more to do with work or whatever it might be. And you're just running so fast. And I think a lesson is pouring into your own cup first. Um, that'll help you show up better for everybody else. It'll keep you creative. It'll keep kind of conversations fun. And so that was a lesson I learned. And I've been making a conscious effort to do ever since.
And what I like about your answer is that it also relates to the usual way that this meme gets used, which is like, you know, it's none of my business sort of thing. So that also relates to that. But I agree with the message as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Okay. Ching, you're last but not least, once again, walk us through yours.
Yeah, I wrote incremental improvements over giant leaps. That really goes with the meme in that I've really learned that it's easy to have this big picture utopia that you really, really want to get to. And when you try to make giant steps and try to get there in like one or two steps, it's really, really it's you're more likely to fail. It's riskier, right? So if you never make those giant leaps, you're not gonna have that. You're lowering your risk. You're de-risking the endeavor. So how do you find the next incremental step to take with whatever you're doing? So I've done this in terms of like getting healthier, getting stronger physically, with my kids, and in breaking things down in a way that they can understand and they can progress forward. And at work, this is something that I try to emphasize all the time.
I feel like I shouldn't have told you guys the thing about kids and pets because now you're like working it into every answer. I don't know. But no, that is a great answer nonetheless. So the twist that I didn't tell you guys about this game, and the reason you'll notice that I haven't either provided feedback or awarded any points for this, is that for this game, you guys get to judge who the winner is, and more than likely also who the winner of the game show is. So we'll go one by one. What I want you to tell me is, who do you think had the best answer to both in terms of the lesson, but also in relation to the gift that they were given? So Ashok, we'll start with you.
And you said gift or
The gift, like who had the best like relation to the gift, to the picture, or to the meme.
Got
sorry,
it.
and sorry, I should have said meme, not gift. The meme, and then the message of whatever they said as well. So you can vote for yourself too, I guess, if you want.
Why do I want to vote for myself? But it's also hard picking here because these are both topics that all three of us would talk about pretty often.
And if you guys tie, then I will tie break, by the way.
I think I'm a little biased because the Bailey one seems a little bit more relevant to me right now. And I do like that I think they both kind of strayed from how I understood the meme, but Bailey's kind of the sereneness of Kermit there, that did appeal to me in terms of like finding your own peace first and helping others find peace. So it's not an easy decision, but I'm going to go with that.
Do you want to skip and come back?
No, I find relief in having made a decision too. So I'm gonna hold on to that peace,
So
like Kermit.
you pick Bailey. Bailey, your turn.
Also a difficult decision, but I think there's kind of an awesome display of vulnerability and self-awareness in Ashok's meme. Just understanding kind of maybe how you were distracted in the first place, but also what grounds you in order to find your way back there. And so for that reason, I also thought it matched the meme really well because I keep seeing memes of like AI being the distracted person these days. And so I vote Ashok for this one. Sorry, Shang.
Shane.
No worries. I would vote Ashok's as well. I think it's the closest to the meme, and I guess in our industry or the tech industry, we throw on around numbers and profit like crazy, or valuations, and that's easily a huge distraction. And finding a purpose beyond that, I think, is very important. So yeah, I would vote Ashok.
Okay, so that means Chuck, you're our winner of the game show. Congratulations. You get the most points here. So we'll give you 200 points to pull ahead of Bailey. Sorry, Bailey. And you win the show. So despite that,
All right,
everybody gets a chance to participate and talk here at the end. So first off, thank you guys so much for doing a great job through these activities. I hope you had a good time going through them. And you've learned a lot about both yourselves and then the other contestants. The way that the show works now is that each of you will get a minute to talk about something, whatever you want. It can be either something you're doing at work, something you're doing personally, something that you care about, and you get an uninterrupted minute to talk about whatever. So Bailey and Shing, you both will get 1 minute, and then Ashok, you'll get more like 2 or 3. So you'll get a slightly longer spot. That's the benefit of winning the show. And then we will recap from there. So Bailey, we'll start with you. What would you like to talk about?
Ooh. I think since we're around the holiday time, I'll talk about volunteering. So I set a goal at the beginning of the year to volunteer a bunch. I actually had this like 2025 little bingo board I made for myself. And what's great about the company that I work for right now, Trans Impact, is like they live and breathe volunteering. It's not just kind of give you time and never revisit it, but it's consistently tracked and celebrated. And so I think that definitely pushed me to hit my volunteer goal and exceed it this year. So I guess just friendly reminder to anybody watching that it is the holidays and there's a lot of local community opportunity to get out there. And it just feels great to get out there from outside of your desk and give back.
Amazing. Okay.
that's awesome.
Shane?
I think the thing that comes to mind for me are my kids and family. I don't know if there's a lot to say other than just, it's a holiday time. It's a good time to get together with the family, really kind of enjoy presence of the family. It's hard to, sometimes it's easy to kind of get lost in the work or struggles with the work. So for me, it's really, like one of my kids is getting into the more formative part of their year, and she's starting to do more activities, different kind of activities. And with that, she's meeting new challenges, and it's really helping her through some of those challenges. It's something that, my wife and I are really tackling together as a team. I'm really passionate and looking forward to that.
Awesome. Yeah. And obviously the holidays are big seasons for self-reflection. And like you both said, Bailey and Shane, there's an opportunity to kind of think and go beyond yourself. So thank you for sharing, different perspectives on that, both with family and others. It's always a great season to go out and do good in the world, either through your family and, being present for them, or being there for others where it can help. So great messages for both of you.
Thanks.
All right. So our winner is next. Ashok, thank you. At least until the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl, you are the winner of today's game show. So, what do you want to talk about?
I think you were right that this did kind of help me think about some things that I hadn't otherwise, or maybe learn to connect some dots that hadn't fully connected. Bailey, by the way, like I've talked about the birthday list before, but never thought about the bingo card. So I'm going to literally make one, I think, this weekend of my 42nd birthday list. But in terms of what to talk about, I think what's been super top of mind for me is my stepson, Henry. I think he's been a really great mirror for me. And there's something nuanced here where, because he's a stepson, I have this rationalization that it's easier for me to kind of take ego out of the room and be the third person in the room and just kind of observe what role I'm meant to be playing for him and how to do that really well. What I didn't realize was that he would actually help me sort of parent myself in many ways, or kind of meet my own needs by meeting his. And some examples there, like, um, we were golfing. We went to the driving range, and I'll concede it's kind of a nicer club that we were at. And it's one of those places where you feel generally anxious, where you're not sure if you fit in. And I kind of maybe feel a little bit more of that as a person of color. And so there's this like discomfort that carries with like how you're dressed and making sure you're not breaking the rules. And I look over at this kid, and at one point he's laying on the ground in the driving range with his like leg crossed over, his hat over his head. And like everything in me wanted to just like almost scream at him, being like, Henry, what the heck are you doing? Kind of thing. Like, people are looking. And I, I'll confess that it got to like the tip of my tongue before I was able to catch it and be like, hey, like, what does it matter if he's on the ground? Like, maybe there's a rule that he's not allowed to lay on the ground, but you shouldn't assume that. Maybe people think it's weird, but like at the end of the day, like I thankfully remembered that I care way more about like his experience than anybody else's that was over there. And instead of like how I would have maybe gotten yelled at as a kid, or like what came naturally to me, just managed to settle and kind of just ask him like, hey man, what you doing? And he just kind of like raised his hat, and he was like, I'm just taking a 5-minute break, and I'm going to hit my hybrid afterwards. And he put it back, and I'm like, cool. You want me to let you know when it's 5 minutes? And, there were definitely people looking over, but there was like a renewed sense of confidence I had around like, I don't really care what other people think as much as maybe I did until like 30 seconds before. And also just reminding me what's important, how I want to show up. And then like, he got up when it was 5 minutes, and he kept practicing, and he went maybe a lot harder because he got a break. And I could have like easily ruined his day by yelling at him when he did something that just felt natural to him. So it's just a good opportunity for me to rewrite some stuff from my own childhood by getting to do it with this other kid. And I feel like something about him being a stepson and meeting him when he was 9 years old made it easy for me to kind of connect at a different level than, I think it'd be different if I had like sleepless nights and all the stuff that I see my brother go through, who has a little toddler, that makes you a little bit more attached, I suppose.
Okay. Well, that's an amazing note to end on. I feel like, there's a common area or a theme that you're all bringing up of like, learning and growing as a person through activities that you do with other people and like learning from others. So definitely very inspiring for me, of like learning from each of you in terms of how you see the folks around your life and what you're learning to grow yourself as a person. So thank you all for sharing your stories.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that you've kind of taken this facilitation approach, something that we love doing, and put it into podcast format. It took me a while to kind of figure out how to do that, and it's great to see the two things that I love coming together.
No, amazing. So to thank you for the compliment for one, but again, thank you all for showing up for this. I know it's hard to do this sort of on the fly, and you guys, we've never met before for the audience's context, with the exception of me and Ashok. So thank you for joining the show. For everybody in the audience, if you're watching this and you want to learn how we do workshops like the one that I did today with the folks here, for the purposes of helping other consultancies, like I mentioned, in the data space and in the AI space, do their work better, please do get in touch with us at superpositionstrat.com or on our YouTube channel. We're also on LinkedIn. I'll put the link on the video as well so folks can see it. But it's been a pleasure having you all. This will be the last show that we do for the year as far as the game show itself goes. And we'll be back next year with more. So I hope everybody watching this has a wonderful holiday season if you're watching it, and we'll be back soon with more episodes. So thank you all.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thanks.